In the quaint town of Billings, under the vast Montana sky, lived Lisa Kimmell, a spirited and independent 18-year-old with dreams as big as the horizon. Her life, filled with the simplicity of small-town charm, was about to take a fateful turn. Lisa's story began on a crisp March morning in 1988, with her beloved Honda CRX, a gift she earned through her relentless hard work at a local restaurant. She planned a journey that would forever change the course of many lives. The car, personalized with the license plates Little Miss, a nickname given by her doting family, was more than just a vehicle. It was a symbol of her freedom and ambition. As the sun rose, casting a golden hue over the quiet streets of Billings, Lisa set off. Her destination was not just another city, but a new chapter in her life. The road ahead stretched out like a promise, the roar of her Honda's engine a testament to her youthful zeal. But as she drove away from the familiar sights of her hometown, little did she know that this trip would be her last. The day progressed, and the sky turned from a bright blue to a deeper shade, signaling the approach of night. Somewhere along the solitary roads of Wyoming, the unthinkable happened. Lisa Kimmell, in her prized Honda, vanished into the night. Her sudden disappearance sent ripples of fear and uncertainty through the hearts of her loved ones. The girl who was full of life and had a future shining brightly ahead of her was now nowhere to be found. In the days that followed, her family's world turned upside down. The absence of any clues or witnesses only deepened the mystery. As the cold nights passed, the flickering hope of finding Lisa alive dwindled. Her disappearance became not just a family's heartache, but a haunting question that echoed across the vast, open spaces of the American West. What happened to Lisa Kimmell? Lisa Kimmell's story is deeply rooted in the heart of the American South, in a small town named Covington, Tennessee. Born on a warm summer day, July 18, 1969, she entered the world as a beacon of joy for her parents. The Kimmell household, filled with love and laughter, soon welcomed 2 more daughters, and Lisa naturally assumed the role of the caring elder sister. In 1972, the Kimmells moved to Billings, Montana, seeking a fresh start. Here, amidst the serene landscape, Lisa grew into a young woman of strong character and determination. Even as a child, she exhibited a remarkable sense of independence and a drive to carve her own path in life. Her early years in Billings were marked by a balance of familial responsibilities and personal pursuits. Lisa wasn't just a sister, she was a second mother to her younger siblings, nurturing them with a maturity beyond her years. Her sense of responsibility extended beyond the walls of her home. At a local restaurant, she worked diligently, saving every penny. This job was not just a means to earn money, it was a stepping stone towards her future. Lisa's character shone through in everything she did. Her teachers remembered her as a goal-oriented student, her friends saw her as a loyal and caring soul, and her employers recognized her as a hardworking and dependable young woman. It was this relentless spirit that led Lisa to buy her Honda CRX before even graduating high school. The car, a symbol of her independence and hard work, was more than just a mode of transportation. It was a vessel of her dreams, ready to take her to new horizons. As she neared the end of her high school journey, Lisa stood at a crossroads. Her parents, envisioning a collegiate path for her, hoped she would pursue higher education. But Lisa, ever so determined, had other plans. She saw her future not in the halls of a university, but in the practical world of work and career advancement. The negotiations with her parents were a testament to her persuasive and mature demeanor. They eventually agreed to her plan. Lisa would work for a year before reconsidering college. Little did anyone know, this decision would set the stage for a series of events that would change the course of their lives forever. In this small Montana town, Lisa Kimmell was not just a young woman. She was a force to be reckoned with, a bright star in the lives of those who knew her. But as the future unfolded, the star's light would be overshadowed by a dark cloud of mystery and sorrow. 1987 brought a pivotal moment in Lisa Kimmell's life. Fresh out of high school, she stood at the threshold of adulthood, her eyes set firmly on the future. She had made a bold choice. Instead of the conventional route of college, she would continue working at Orbis, a renowned restaurant chain. This decision wasn't taken lightly, but with the conviction of someone who knew her own mind. Lisa's journey at Orbis was not just a job. It was her first real foray into the world. Her dedication and work ethic quickly caught the eye of her superiors. It wasn't long before an opportunity knocked at her door, a chance that would test her mettle and reshape her path. She was offered a managerial position, but it came with a catch. It was in a suburb of Denver, nearly 900 kilometers away from the comfort of her Billings home. For many, this would have been a daunting prospect, but for Lisa it was a challenge she accepted without a second thought. It was a testament to her courage and her unyielding desire to forge her own path. Her acceptance of this role was more than just a career move. It was a leap into the unknown, a step into a world far removed from the security of her family and hometown. At just 18, Lisa was about to manage a restaurant in a bustling new city, an achievement that spoke volumes of her maturity and capability. Lisa's move to Denver was not just a physical journey but an emotional one. Her parents, though apprehensive, knew their daughter's strength and supported her decision. This move was a bold declaration of her independence, a statement that she was ready to take on the world on her own terms. In Denver, Lisa quickly adapted to her new life. She found an apartment in Aurora, a suburb teeming with opportunities and new experiences. She immersed herself in her work, bringing the same dedication and enthusiasm that had marked her time in Billings. The new environment, though challenging, was exhilarating. Lisa thrived in her role, earning the respect of her colleagues and superiors alike. But it wasn't all work for Lisa. She found time to explore her new surroundings, make new friends, and even start a relationship with Ed, a young man who lived 800 kilometers away. This distance did little to dampen their growing affection for each other. As Lisa settled into her new life in Aurora, her world seemed full of promise. She was living her dream, managing a successful restaurant, and building a life of her own. Her days were a whirlwind of activity, each bringing new challenges and triumphs. Yet, as life often does, it held unexpected turns for Lisa. Her journey, filled with so much hope and determination, was about to take a dark and unforeseen detour, one that would leave a lasting imprint not just on her life, but on the hearts of all who knew her. March 25, 1988, dawned with the promise of an ordinary day. But for Lisa Kimmell, it was a day marked by anticipation and excitement. She had plans for the weekend, plans that involved a heartwarming reunion with her family in Billings and introducing them to Ed, the man who had captured her heart. This journey, however, was destined to be anything but ordinary. As the clock ticked past noon, Lisa made her preparations. Her Honda CRX, the Little Miss, was more than ready for the long drive ahead. The route was familiar to her, a path she had traversed several times before. But this time, it was different. This time, she had someone special waiting to join her on the journey back. Lisa set off from Aurora with her spirits high. The road stretched out before her, a ribbon winding through the vast landscapes of Colorado and Wyoming. As the afternoon sun began to dip towards the horizon, Lisa found herself in Douglas, Wyoming, her thoughts undoubtedly on the weekend ahead. It was here, in the quiet of the Wyoming evening, that fate took a sharp turn. A local police officer, noting her car speeding, pulled her over. The encounter with the officer was a minor hiccup, resolved with an understanding and a promise to send a check for the fine. Little did Lisa know, this would be the last time anyone would see her as she was known to her loved ones. Lisa continued her journey, the road ahead now cloaked in the darkness of night. The hours passed, and the expected time of her arrival came and went. In Billings, her family waited, their worry growing with each passing moment. In a time before cell phones, the silence was deafening, the absence of any word from Lisa unsettling. Ed, waiting in Cody, Wyoming, along Lisa's route, also felt the sting of worry. As the night deepened, his concern turned to alarm. The morning light brought no news, and with a sinking heart, he realized something was amiss. The lack of contact was uncharacteristic of Lisa. She was always responsible, always considerate. The realization that she might be in trouble set into motion a series of frantic calls. It reached out to the police, initiating a search that would soon reveal the gravity of the situation. In the quiet of Lisa's empty apartment in Aurora, the ticking clock was a stark reminder of the passing time. With each hour, the mystery of her disappearance deepened, casting a shadow of dread over her loved ones. The vibrant young woman who had set out on a simple journey was now the subject of a desperate search, her fate an enigma shrouded in the vast, open spaces of the American West. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, the stark reality set in. Lisa Kimmell, in her beloved Honda CRX, had vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of questions and a growing sense of foreboding. The disappearance of Lisa Kimmell was a jolt that sent her family into a whirlwind of fear and confusion. As the sun rose on a new day, with no sign of Lisa, the initial worry transformed into a deep, gnawing anxiety. The Kimmells, a family once bound by the joys of everyday life, found themselves united in a desperate search for their missing daughter. Lisa's parents, grappling with the harsh reality of their daughter's mysterious disappearance, refused to remain passive. They mobilized every resource at their disposal. Lisa's father, driven by a relentless determination, hired a private pilot to scour the route Lisa would have taken. The skies above Wyoming and Montana were meticulously combed, eyes keenly searching for any sign of the little miss, but to no avail. Meanwhile, on the ground, Lisa's father retraced her route, driving the long, winding road she had traveled. He stopped at every possible location where she might have been seen, asking questions, seeking answers, but finding none. The roads that once led to opportunity and adventure for Lisa now seemed endless and desolate. Back in Billings, the family home became a command center, with phones ringing incessantly as friends, relatives, and concerned community members offered help and support. The Kimmells, overwhelmed yet grateful for the outpouring of concern, coordinated efforts to spread the word of Lisa's disappearance, clinging to the hope that someone somewhere might have seen something. As the hours turned into days, the Kimmell family faced a frustrating reality. The police were initially hesitant to launch a full-scale investigation. In their view, Lisa was an adult, and not enough time had passed to consider her missing under suspicious circumstances. This bureaucratic hesitation was a cruel blow to the family, who knew in their hearts that Lisa would never disappear of her own volition. The turning point came when a family friend, a retired police officer turned private detective, intervened. Understanding the nuances of the system, he was able to persuade the authorities to take the case more seriously and file a missing person report. This small victory was a glimmer of hope in the overwhelming darkness that had enveloped the Kimmell family. As the official search began, flyers bearing Lisa's smiling face and the details of her car were distributed far and wide. Every police station, every news outlet, and every community bulletin board in Montana and Wyoming bore the plea for information. The family's fervent hope was that someone would come forward with a clue, however small, that could lead to Lisa's whereabouts. The community rallied around the Kimmells, their collective efforts a testament to the impact Lisa had on those around her. Candlelight vigils were held, prayers were offered, and the story of the missing girl from Billings captured the hearts of people across the region. Yet, as days passed with no significant leads or sightings, the initial surge of hope began to wane. The vastness of the American West, once a symbol of freedom and opportunity, now seemed an insurmountable barrier in the search for Lisa. The uncertainty and lack of answers only compounded the family's anguish. In this desperate search, the Kimmells were not just looking for Lisa. They were grappling with the unknown, facing every parent's worst nightmare. The absence of their beloved daughter was a void that could not be filled, her fate a mystery that haunted their every waking moment. 8 days had passed since Lisa Kimmell's disappearance, and the hope that had initially fueled the search was now tinged with despair. The vast landscapes of Wyoming, once a backdrop to Lisa's journey, had yielded no clues. Then, a chilling discovery shattered the fragile hope that had sustained her family and friends. On a cold morning in early April, a fisherman, casting his line in a serene stretch of river near Casper, Wyoming, saw something in the water that turned his peaceful outing into a scene from a nightmare. There, floating face down, was the body of a young woman. The tranquility of the river was broken by the harsh reality of a life cut tragically short. The fisherman's heart sank as he realized the gravity of his discovery. He remembered the news reports and the flyers about a missing girl from Billings. With a heavy heart, he contacted the authorities, setting in motion a chain of events that would finally shed light on the fate of Lisa Kimmell. The news of the body found in the river spread quickly. Lisa's family, already bracing for the worst, received the call they had dreaded. The body was indeed Lisa's, bringing an end to the frantic search, but opening a new painful chapter for those who knew and loved her. The initial examination by medical experts revealed harrowing details. Lisa had met a violent end, with evidence of assault and trauma. The timeline suggested that she had been deceased for approximately 6 days before being discovered, implying she had been alive for some time after her disappearance. The location of the body, miles away from where she was last seen, raised perplexing questions. How had Lisa ended up in this remote area? Who was responsible for the violence inflicted upon her? The mystery of her disappearance had turned into a murder investigation, leaving the authorities with the daunting task of piecing together the final days of Lisa's life. For Lisa's family, the confirmation of her death was a devastating blow. The vibrant young woman, full of dreams and potential, had been cruelly taken from them. Their grief was compounded by the mystery surrounding her death. The unanswered questions tormented them. What had happened to Lisa after she was pulled over for speeding? Who had crossed her path on that fateful night? The community, too, was shaken by the news. The story of the bright young woman from Billings, who had vanished only to be found dead in a river, sent ripples of shock and sorrow through the hearts of those who had followed her story. Lisa's death was not just a personal tragedy for her family. It was a loss that was felt deeply by the entire community. As the investigation into Lisa's murder began, the authorities faced the daunting task of unraveling the events leading to her death. The rural and expansive nature of the area where her body was found posed significant challenges. The search for clues and evidence was like looking for a needle in a haystack, with the vast wilderness of Wyoming offering few leads. The tragic end to Lisa's journey was a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of human cruelty. The once hopeful search for a missing girl had become a quest for justice, a pursuit to find the person or persons responsible for snatching away a life so full of promise. The discovery of Lisa Kimmell's body marked the beginning of a long, arduous journey for justice. The local authorities, now dealing with a homicide, delved into the case with renewed urgency. The once routine disappearance had escalated into a sinister puzzle that demanded solving. In the days following the discovery, investigators combed through every detail of Lisa's last known movements. The last confirmed sighting of Lisa was during her traffic stop in Douglas. This piece of information became a crucial point in the investigation, offering a narrow window into her final hours. Despite the dedicated efforts of the authorities, the investigation hit roadblocks. The expansive terrain of Wyoming, with its vast open spaces and sparse population, offered little in the way of leads or witnesses. The mystery of what happened to Lisa after she drove away from the traffic stop loomed large, a haunting question that seemed to have no answer. The case attracted media attention, casting a spotlight on the mystery surrounding Lisa's death. News outlets and local papers covered the story extensively, appealing to the public for any information that might lead to a breakthrough. The community, still reeling from the shock, followed each development with bated breath, hoping for answers. Amidst the search for clues, numerous tips and potential sightings of Lisa and her car came flooding in. Each lead was meticulously followed, but most turned out to be dead ends. The sheer volume of information was overwhelming, and the task of sifting through it all was daunting. One of the most perplexing aspects of the case was the disappearance of Lisa's Honda CRX. The vehicle, a vital piece of evidence, had vanished without a trace. Investigators theorized that finding the car could provide critical clues to the perpetrator and the circumstances surrounding Lisa's death. As weeks turned into months, the lack of substantial progress in the investigation was disheartening. The case of Lisa Kimmell, once a prominent story in the media, began to fade from the public eye. But for Lisa's family and the dedicated team of investigators, the search for answers never waned. The challenge facing the investigators was immense. They were not only battling against the passing of time and fading memories, but also against the vast and unforgiving landscape of the American West. The case demanded not just dedication, but also a stroke of luck, a chance discovery that could break the case wide open. In the midst of this extensive investigation, the authorities held on to the hope that science and persistence would eventually lead them to the perpetrator. They knew that somewhere, hidden in the details of Lisa's last journey, was the key to solving the mystery of her untimely death. The investigation into Lisa Kimmell's murder was a journey marked by frustration and determination. It was a testament to the resilience of those seeking justice and the enduring hope that the truth would eventually come to light. Years passed with the mystery of Lisa Kimmell's murder lingering like a shadow over her family and the community. The case, once a flurry of activity and urgency, had grown cold. However, the quest for justice never ceased. The advancement of forensic science was about to breathe new life into the investigation. In the early 2000s, nearly a decade and a half after Lisa's tragic death, a significant breakthrough emerged. Forensic technology had advanced considerably since the late 1980s, and DNA analysis had become a powerful tool in solving crimes. Investigators, holding onto the evidence collected years ago, decided to revisit Lisa's case with these new scientific methods. The most significant piece of evidence in their possession was the biological material recovered from Lisa's body. At the time of the initial investigation, DNA profiling was in its infancy, and the sample yielded little information. But now, with sophisticated technology at their disposal, the investigators were able to extract a full DNA profile from the sample. This new development reignited the investigation. The DNA sample was entered into a national criminal database, a move that offered a glimmer of hope in the seemingly endless darkness of the case. The investigators waited anxiously, knowing that this could be the key to unlocking the mystery that had haunted them for years. Then the moment they had been waiting for arrived. The DNA sample found a match in the database, pointing to a man named Dale Wayne Eaton. Eaton was already incarcerated, serving time for unrelated crimes. His criminal record, a tapestry of violence and wrongdoing, painted a disturbing picture. For the investigators, this match was a monumental breakthrough. Dale Wayne Eaton was not just a name. He was a tangible lead in a case that had been starved of concrete evidence for far too long. This discovery brought a renewed sense of purpose to the team, a burning drive to bring closure to a case that had loomed over them for years. However, the journey to justice was far from over. The DNA match was a crucial piece of the puzzle, but it was not enough to convict Eaton. The investigators needed more evidence to solidify their case and ensure that justice was served. The focus now turned to locating Lisa's Honda CRX, the missing piece in this tragic story. The car, like Lisa's murderer, had vanished without a trace all those years ago. Finding it could provide the additional evidence needed to link Eaton to the crime conclusively. The revelation of Dale Wayne Eaton's involvement brought a mix of emotions to Lisa's family and the community. There was relief that a suspect had been identified, but also a deep sense of sorrow and anger. The pain of Lisa's loss was as fresh as ever, and the details emerging about her suspected killer only added to their anguish. The discovery was a turning point in the case, a beacon of hope in the long, dark night of uncertainty. The investigators, armed with new evidence and renewed determination, were poised to unravel the final chapters of a mystery that had lingered in the shadows for far too long. The identification of Dale Wayne Eaton as a suspect in Lisa Kimmell's murder marked a critical turning point in the investigation. Yet proving his involvement in the crime required more than just a DNA match. The detectives needed concrete evidence to build an indisputable case against him. The focus of the investigation shifted to uncovering any link between Eaton and Lisa's disappearance. This quest led detectives to the desolate area where Eaton lived, a place far removed from the hustle of city life, where secrets could easily be buried away from prying eyes. In their meticulous search for evidence, the detectives made a chilling discovery. Buried deep on Eaton's property was the long-missing piece of the puzzle, Lisa's Honda CRX, still bearing the distinctive Little Miss license plates. This discovery was more than just the recovery of a missing vehicle. It was a silent witness to the horrific events that had transpired years ago. The recovery of the car was a breakthrough moment in the case. It provided the tangible link between Eaton and Lisa's murder that the detectives had been desperately seeking. The vehicle, once a symbol of Lisa's freedom and independence, had become a crucial piece of evidence in her murder investigation. With the car in their possession, forensic experts combed through every inch, searching for any trace of evidence that could further implicate Eaton. Each finding added another piece to the puzzle, gradually painting a clearer picture of what might have happened to Lisa on that fateful night. As the evidence against Eaton mounted, the case began to take shape. The detectives pieced together a timeline of events, using the newfound evidence to reconstruct the last moments of Lisa's life. The grim reality of her final hours began to emerge, casting a dark shadow over the memories of a vibrant young woman whose life had been cut tragically short. The investigation also delved into Eaton's background, revealing the history of violence and criminal behavior. This profile helped the detectives understand the kind of person they were dealing with, further solidifying their belief in his guilt. For Lisa's family, the discovery of the car and the identification of a suspect brought mixed emotions. There was a sense of relief that the mystery of Lisa's disappearance was finally unraveling, but this was tempered by the resurgence of grief and the painful details that were coming to light. The long-awaited answers only served to remind them of the precious life that had been brutally taken away. The case against Dale Wayne Eaton was building, bolstered by the tireless efforts of the detectives and the advancements in forensic science. The journey to justice, long and arduous, was finally nearing its destination. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, leading to a reckoning that had been awaited for over a decade. The case against Dale Wayne Eaton, built on years of investigation, forensic advancements, and the unwavering determination of Lisa Kimmell's family, finally culminated in a trial. The courtroom became the stage for a long-awaited confrontation with the truth, a place where justice would be sought for a life cruelly taken. As the trial commenced, the evidence against Eaton was laid bare for all to see. The DNA match, the discovery of Lisa's Honda CRX on his property, and his history of violence painted a damning picture. The prosecution meticulously presented each piece of evidence, weaving together the story of Lisa's last moments and Eaton's alleged role in her demise. Throughout the trial, the courtroom was heavy with emotion. Lisa's family, bearing the weight of their loss, watched as the man accused of taking their beloved daughter from them was held to account. Each testimonial, each exhibit of evidence, was a stark reminder of the brutal reality of what had happened to Lisa. Eaton, for his part, maintained his innocence, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. The jury was faced with the daunting task of piecing together the fragments of a life lost and deciding the fate of the man accused of shattering it. After intense deliberation, the verdict was delivered. Dale Wayne Eaton was found guilty of the kidnapping, assault, and murder of Lisa Kimmell. The courtroom, filled with a mix of relief and sorrow, received the verdict as a solemn affirmation of justice. Eaton was sentenced to death, a sentence that reflected the gravity of his crimes. For Lisa's family, the verdict was a bittersweet moment. While it brought a sense of justice, it could not fill the void left by Lisa's absence. The trial's conclusion was not just an end to a legal battle. It was an acknowledgement of their loss, a loss that would remain with them forever. In the years following the trial, Eaton's sentence became a subject of legal proceedings and appeals. Despite these challenges, Lisa's family remained steadfast in their pursuit of justice. They had fought tirelessly to ensure that the man responsible for her death was held accountable, and they continued to honor her memory through their resilience and advocacy. The conclusion of the trial did not mark the end of Lisa's story. Her life, so full of promise and potential, continued to resonate with those who knew her. The tragedy of her death brought about changes in how missing person cases were handled and raised awareness of the dangers that young women face. Lisa Kimmell's legacy lived on, not just in the memories of her loved ones, but in the lasting impact of her case. Her story, a harrowing journey from a mysterious disappearance to a quest for justice, remained a testament to the enduring power of love, perseverance, and the relentless pursuit of truth. In the end, the conclusion of Dale Wayne Eaton's trial brought a measure of closure, but for those who knew and loved Lisa, her spirit, her vitality, and the injustice of her untimely death would never be forgotten. In the wide open spaces of Wyoming, under the vast sky she once traveled, the memory of Lisa Kimmell continued to echo, a reminder of a life that, though tragically cut short, left an indelible mark on the world.